Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Krimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. We're going to read one shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 27th chapter, shloka number 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Muttama Shloke Bhaktirabhavati Naishtaki. Randraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, 27th chapter about understanding the material nature. Kapila Dev is explaining to Mata Devahuti about the soul. So in the previous shlokas, Kapila Dev explained to Mata Devahuti that when a living entity originally is very pure and is not affected by any modes of material nature, but then as the soul, spirit soul, comes under the spell of material nature and false ego, the spirit soul identifies itself as a body, and then the spirit soul becomes absorbed in the material activities. And under the influence of ego, which is a false, one thinks that he is the body and he is the proprietor of body and the related things. So, under the influence of modes of nature, a spirit soul gets bewildered and it starts thinking that everything surrounding me belongs to me. I am the owner, I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer, I am the master of everything. But actually, the proprietor or enjoyer is Lord Krishna, and spirit soul is here in this body for temporary purpose, for temporary times, very small amount of time, like few years. And then the soul has to change the body. And that transmigration of the soul from one body to another is explained here in this chapter, in this shloka. So Kapila Devi is saying to Mata Devati, Tena samsara padavim avasho abhiti anivrata prasange kai karma-doṣaiḥ sada ashan mishra yonishu. So here Kapila Devi is using the one word karma-doṣaiḥ. Karma-doṣaiḥ means the faulty activities. Here karma-doṣaiḥ. Karma-doṣaiḥ is faulty activities. Tena samsara padadvin avasho abhiti anivrita prasanga karma-doṣaiḥ sada asana mishra yonishu. So because of karma-doṣaiḥ, what happens? So tena samsara. Samsara is the material world. Padavin, path. Avashah abhiyeti. Avasha is helplessly. So the soul undergoes transmigration very helplessly. Anivrataha, discontented. Prasangeke, resulting from association with material nature. Karma-doṣaiḥ, by faulty actions, which can be good or bad. Sat, asata. Mishra yonishu, different types of species. So the translation is, the conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher or lower, because of his association with the three modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of faulty work. Right? So the soul transmigrates from one body to another, which can be a higher species of body or lower species of body than the human life. And this happens because of his karma dosha. Unless one is relieved of this karma dosha, he has to accept these different kinds of bodies. Purport Srila Prabhupada is explaining here the word karma dosha means faulty actions. This refers to any activity, good or bad, performed in this material world. They are all contaminated, faulty actions because of material association. So Prabhupada is explaining that activity can be good or bad, but there are always faults in these activities. Fault means because of the desire to enjoy, that is a fault. Desire to enjoy results in the sense gratification, results in the one has to, as long as the one has the desire of sense gratification, one has to accept the body, right? So any activity we do, we have a desire to enjoy, then either good or bad, we have to have the associated reactions with it. The foolish conditioned soul may think that is offering charity by opening hospital for material benefit or by opening an educational institute for material education, but does not know that all such work is also faulty because it will not give him relief from process of transmigrating from one body to another. So here Prabhupada is explaining that if we do good work, pious work, punya karma, then one gets good results. And for such good results, one has to enjoy those good results because he's performing it for punya. Punya means pious activities. So one does punya because one wants to be in a good house or good family or good background actually. So one wants a better future. So then for that you have to take a birth again. And if you do sinful activity, of course, then you have to take the birth accordingly. So whether good or bad, you have to enjoy or suffer the reactions of your actions. So that's why you need a body. That's why one gets a new body every life. It is clearly stated here, Sada Asana Mishra Yonishu. This means that one may take birth in very high family or he may take birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. So if one does pious activity, then one is transmigrated to the higher world, the spiritual world. The higher loka, not spiritual world, but Deva loka, where demigods are residing, higher planets. So one does the pious activity is going to go to the higher world or Svargaloka or heavenly planets. But those are also part of material world. But this work is also faulty because it doesn't give liberation, doesn't give mukti, transmigration of the soul continues. To take the birth in a nice place or a higher family does not mean that one avoids undergoing material tribulations, the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that his only activities in the devotional service to the Lord can give him relief from the reactions of material activities. So any so-called religious activities we perform, which are pious in nature, we get good results. But good results means good body. Again, you have to take the body in the material world. You cannot get out of the repeated cycle of birth and death. One has to change the different bodies, some high and low. That is called Sansara Padavin. which means the material world, this material world from which there is no release. One who desires liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. There is no alternative. So as long as we are not engaged in devotional service, if you are not engaged in devotional service, then one has to take birth again and again. Punarapi janma, punarapi marna. So here, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explaining that so-called pious activities results in good birth. And if you do impious activities or sinful activities, then you get birth in a accordingly, like lower species of life. But whether you get a birth in higher species or lower species, the problems of body continues. Uh, all the bodily relations or bodily birth, any type of body, there is association with disease, old age, death. It's a painful phenomenon. But when we perform the activities for Krishna as a bhakti yoga, then we get liberation from repeated cycle of birth and death, because then we are transferred to the spiritual world, the spiritual loka. So that is mentioned by Kapila Dev. So to overcome karma dosha, one has to perform devotional activities. So we'll pause here. We'll continue reading of Srimad Bhagavatam tomorrow. Randraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.